Hi everyone, I'm Walker and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about some comparison of some blue polishes from Zoya's creams, and I'm really excited to talk about blues. Number one, because I think there's a really big variety of blues in Zoya's collection, and number two, because I think they're the perfect polish for summer. The blues that we have today are super bright, super vibrant, and just really fun to wear when it's warm outside. Other people are wearing coral and pink, and you can wear blue and be a little bit different. So stay tuned for some comparison of some Zoya blues. Great! So if you haven't watched one of my comparison videos, the structure of this video will go a little bit like this. The first thing that I'll do is I'll show you bottle shots of each of these polishes, and then I'll read to you the Zoya website description of the color, and then I have some swatch sticks of each of the shades, and so we will look at them close up next to each other, you know, with top coat on. You can really see how they compare once they're dried on the nail. I think that's the most helpful part. You know, the bottle doesn't always tell you exactly what the color is going to look like on your nails. All right, let's start talking about some polishes. So we're going to look at 6 of the brighter blues today, and the 6 that we're going to look at are Lillian, Dory, Yummy, Rocky, Robyn. Those 5 are part of the current Zoya collection. And then we're also going to take a look at one special guest polish, which is Phoebe. And this is a discontinued polish from the Mod Matte collection. So it is a matte neon polish. And so we'll talk a little bit about how this one compares to the 5 that are in the current collection. The first polish that we're looking at today is Lillian, and you can see Lillian on my nails here. Lillian is described on the Zoya website as a faded aquamarine with a glossy cream finish. She's the lightest of the polishes that we're comparing today. She's the most white in her. That's Zoya's Lillian. The next polish that we're looking at is Zoya's Rocky. And Rocky is described as a full coverage serene blue cream. And so here's Rocky compared to Robyn. And Robyn is described as the perfect turquoise cream. So you can see it's got a little bit more of that turquoise color than Dory, which is on the right. And Dory is kind of a fan favorite. It's talked a lot about in top Zoya lists. It's described as a vibrant cornflower blue. And 2 that are most often requested for comparisons are Dory on the left and Yummy on the right. You can see Yummy's a little bit lighter. And Yummy is described as a cheerful, light robin's egg blue. It's a sky blue, so it's got a little bit more white than Dory's cornflower, but it's a beautiful formula. Okay, so here is Zoya's Phoebe, and Phoebe is from the Mod Matte collection in 2011, as I think I mentioned, and even just in the bottle on the brush, it's streaky. You know, this is a neon and a matte, so it's got a lot going on in this formula. It was kind of tricky to work with, but you can see that it's this really brilliant kind of electric blue color, so it is really pretty regardless of that formula. Okay, so I have all of our polishes lined up here from maybe like lightest to darkest, kind of, with Phoebe thrown at the end there because she doesn't really fit. The first ones we're going to compare are Dory and Yummy. And so Yummy's on the bottom, and you can see that it is just a touch lighter than Dory in some lights. Dory is a little bit more pigmented in blue. Yummy's got a little more white, but they are super close. Okay, so next I'm going to pull up Yummy and Robyn for an up close. So I think they look really close to each other, but if you look in this light, you can really see that Robyn is definitely more of a classic blue, whereas Yummy is a little bit more washed out, right? It's got more white in it. And so I think on the nail, these actually look pretty different. And hopefully you can see that Robyn definitely has more of that classic blue feel. Okay, and now just to give you a good reference for Phoebe, you can see the matte finish and that bright blue. All right, and finally, let's look at Lillian and Rocky. These two look similar, but you can see that Lillian has a lot more white and Rocky's a lot more pigmented. Lillian is super bright. It's really pretty, whereas Rocky is a little bit darker, but still really colorful, really powerful. Lillian's on my nails in these shots. Okay, now let's bring in some comparison polishes. The first one we have is Blue, and Blue is kind of Zoya's classic pastel, super light blue color. And so I think that Blue will help us see here how pigmented these shades are. Even Lillian, which is the lightest of this combination, is much, much more pigmented than Blue. Okay, and next I'm going to bring in Ling, which is a pretty classic Zoya blue. And Ling is definitely on the darker end of the blues. It's more of like a medium blue. And so you can see compared to some of these other colors that it definitely is much of a darker shade than the ones that I've pulled here. Another classic Zoya blue is Breezy, and Breezy, I don't think I realized this until I compared it to these polishes, but Breezy is really a bit more grayed out than the ones that I have here. Okay, and here's Mallory. Mallory is almost that like Crayola blue, and so you can see here compared to Robyn, Robyn is definitely a bright blue, but it's not quite that kind of classic Crayola primary blue that Mallory is. So hopefully those gave you a little bit of a clearer picture as to why I pulled these brights together for one video. And the last color that I want to pull in as a comparison is actually not a blue polish. It's more of a teal or turquoise polish, and I think this will be really helpful to see compared to some of these polishes that look a little more green in this lineup. So let's look at Wednesday compared to for example, Lillian and Rocky, that look green compared to Dory, but if you look at them next to Wednesday, you can see that they really are blue. They're definitely on the spectrum of that kind of teal color, but they are much more blue than a true teal like Wednesday. All right, so let's wrap up. First, I want to talk about three that look pretty similar in the bottle. These three, this is Robyn, and then this is Dory and Yummy. So Robyn looks similar in some photos in the bottle, but if you can see here, it's actually a lot more kind of bright blue. It's a little bit more almost like turquoise compared to these guys. So it is pretty different, and on the nail, it really does look like a different shade from these two. So if you don't have Robyn, and you have one of these, either Dory or Yummy, Robyn is different enough that I would say go ahead and grab it. Robyn did stain for me pretty quickly, so you know, just know that some people don't really care about staining, or if you use like a peel-off base coat, you may not care, but it did stain. Honestly, it stained my like cuticles a little bit more than it stained my nail bed, so just want you to have all the facts. And then Dory and Yummy, I honestly loved both of these. I will say, however, that on the nail, they are so close. I really don't think you need both. You can see in this shot that Dory is a little bit darker than Yummy, so it's got a little bit more blue. I would actually say that Dory is a brighter polish in the sense that it's more pigmented. There is more blue in this polish. Yummy definitely has a little bit more white. It's more of that like sky blue, a little more washed out blue. So I found Yummy a little bit more wearable, and so honestly I would keep this one in my collection over Dory just because I could wear this one more often. But if you want something that's a little more pow, a little more blue, go for Dory. I don't think you need both in your collection unless you want to have all the Zoya Blues. I think you could get away with just one or the other. And I don't often say that, so. Okay, the other ones that look pretty similar, I think in the bottle, are these two, the other two that are part of the Zoya current collection. So this is Lillian and Rocky, and I really liked both of these. Lillian is much whiter, much brighter, and Rocky is a little bit darker, but they're in the same kind of like colors family here. Like they have a little bit more green in them than, say, Yummy does. But on the nail, they definitely come off blue. And I think I showed in my swatch sticks, you saw blue come in compared to these two. And so you can definitely see that, like, although Lillian is really light, it is not a pastel, right? It's not blue. It's much more of a bright, pigmented poppy shade, so it's perfect for summer. I think you could get both of these. They're totally different from one another once they dry on the nail, and I really liked them. I will say that these two did stain. Lillian shockingly stained quite a bit when I tried to take it off, so, you know, just know that. I think with most blue polishes you get a little bit of staining, but Yummy and Dory didn't stain for me. These two did, but I really like these. Okay, Phoebe, my friend Phoebe. I got this polish in a lot on eBay with a ton of other polishes, and so I didn't pay that much for it. I think, you know, if I average out what I paid, I probably paid like $3.50 for this bottle. But if you try and buy just this on eBay and you don't find a deal like that, it's probably close to $45 because it wasn't released for very long, so there's just not that many of these. And I think you could see in the bottle swatch, like, this formula is just so, it's like streaky on the brush before it even gets on your nail. It's so streaky. I did 3 coats in my picture, and honestly, I could have done 4 or 5 to get to opacity. If I was gonna like wear it, you know, out somewhere and not just swatch it, I probably would do 4 or 5. I think it's really beautiful, and the matte and the neon is like such a cool combination. I really hope that Zoya re-releases these. But do I think that you should like blow your life savings and, you know, track this bottle down? Probably not. If you happen across it and it's not super expensive, it's really fun, but it's not worth, you know, hunting it down, in my opinion. Awesome. So that was my comparison of Zoya's bright blues. Definitely let me know down below, you know, what was really helpful about this video. What do you wish I would change for the next time I do a comparison video? Your feedback is super helpful for me as I continue to make these. So definitely like this video if you want to see more like this, and subscribe if you don't want to miss my next comparison posts. I'm wearing Daisy on my nails here because I'm going to be doing a yellow comparison pretty soon. I'll also be doing a medium blues comparison, and then some of those dustier, grayer blues comparisons as well. So stay tuned for those. You don't want to miss them, and have a great afternoon.